Uh-oh. Let's get it. Uh. Hey. What is up, y'all? It's your boy Zeus. It's about that time. I want to welcome y'all to the first ever episode of Mental Capital. Wow. Wow, that intro got me hype. Big hype. Shout outs to Anno Domini Nation for that sick beat. Something that gets me in my body every single time. How y'all doing today, bro? How is everybody doing out there? Man, welcome to the first ever episode of Mental Capital. This show is so close to my heart. So close to my heart. If you've been rocking with me for any of my last few shows, you know that what we do here is mental health all day, every way. We don't play. Feel me? So this is where this show came from. This is where the inspiration for this show came from. Done a few before, took some time off, and just all of the signs around me, everything that had been going on in life, been people asking about it left and right. And so I thought, you know what? It's time for us to get back on the mic. I had a couple different things that inspired me to get back on here that we're going to show you and talk to you about. But before we do this, man, this is how we get down here on MC. Before we get started with anything, we'd like to remind you, each and every one of you listening around the world, wherever you at, no matter what you got going on right now, okay? No matter what life has handed you, if you're in the ups, if you're in the downs, if you don't know where you're at, that's all right, because you are enough and you matter. If you woke up today, whether or not you can hear the sound of my voice, you are blessed, chosen, and highly favored, and you deserve happiness and success above all things. Straight off the rip. No questions asked, no receipts, no excuses. You deserve it. Blessings, happiness, and success. All of those things to you. Now, before we dive into it, I want to leave you with a resource because, hey, podcast is great. Working out, listening to something, driving is listening to something, going for a walk, listening to something, whatever. It's fantastic, right? But sometimes you need a little bit more. Sometimes you need a resource that you can use, that you can apply to your life. One of my favorite ones is the National Suicide and Crisis Hotline. Right? There is somebody available for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And they've actually shortened that number. It's no longer a 1-800 number. It's just 988. Real simple. Just 988. Those three numbers. If you're having trouble with whatever you're going through, I feel you. I've been there. Okay? I've been there. But, listen. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to be going through something that you just can't quite handle by yourself, and that's why there are professionals out there waiting for your call if you need it. If you feel like you got nowhere else to turn, they got you. Okay? Now let's get into it. Why Mental Capital? Why did this start? Man, the world is fucked right now, y'all. Is it not? We're 3 years removed from a crazy-ass pandemic that locked everybody inside, that took us away from our human connection, from our people, made us afraid to be around anybody because we didn't want to get them sick, or even worse, give them a virus that could kill them. We're not so far off from having those exact feelings, right? Driving and parking your cars 10 feet away from each other and sitting in your trunks just so you could see people. You were scared to touch somebody, scared to touch a doorknob, scared to go in a grocery store because if somebody brushed your shoulder, whoa, whether you had a mask on or not. It was a time of fear. We are coming out of a massive time of fear in the collective of human consciousness right now. It was worldwide. It was not just centralized to the US or Europe or Asia or South America or South Africa or any of things like that. It was worldwide, which means people you've never met before dealing with the exact same things as you. Everybody's baseline totally changed. Right? Everything up in the air. Fucking chaos. Pure chaos. Everybody trying to watch the news every day to find out what was going on, trying to find out recommendations for this is that. This is good for you. This is bad for you. This, nobody knew. We're all freaking out, right? And it had a huge impact on our mental health. It had a big impact on mine. I would call you a liar if you told me the pandemic had no impact on you mentally. I would. I haven't met a single person who hasn't said that it changed them in some way, shape, or form. And that's just fine. But that's just another thing that a lot of us now have in common. Right? More similarities with which we can bond with each other. We all went through the same thing. And we're all feeling this sense of disconnectedness, right? This sense of everybody's back to the baseline of I've just got to look out for me and mine and take care of me and mine. And like, that's cool, right? I get that. I totally respect that. I totally support that. But like, just remember, every person that you come across has been feeling the same thing. So have compassion for that because, you know, maybe people snapped at you because they're afraid of the consequences of something that they can't control, right? How'd you touch me? Oh, I'm sorry, I bumped into you. It was an accident. Right? Like, whoa, don't touch you. You might be sick. Well, fear. Everywhere. People dying left and right. Nobody knew anything. And on the other side of that, we are all trying to figure out what normal looks like. I'm looking out at the street in front of my house right now, and it seems like a normal, clear, beautiful day. But this street is different than it was before the pandemic. Even looking at it. Simple. Just like that. Not only that, I've got people I know and love in my life who are struggling. People who I look up to. People who inspire and motivate me. People who I've got in my life who have been my rock and my pillar of strength. I'm just watching the mental state deteriorate. I got a phone call last night from one of my closest friends. And you know, we talked for a little bit and he confided some things in me. Some tears were shed, some real powerful words were shared. But I could feel his hurt. I could feel his pain, his mental anguish that he was experiencing. And he's a father to 3 beautiful, smart kids. He'd just gotten a new job where he thought he could make a name for himself and start to push on up the ladder, be happy, pay his bills, get a new place, get a new car, striving for things, striving for more in his life. And yet the weight of the things that he's experiencing mentally are crushing him. He's older than me. He's one of the strongest men I know. Right? Love him to death. Talk all kinds of shit to and with him. That's my boy right there. But man, last night to see him on the phone, we FaceTime, to see it. To see him feel like he's just doesn't have it. Right? Struggling, crying. In a way I'd never seen him before. He needed help. And, you know, we sat on the phone last night for like an hour and a half talking. We talked about the serious stuff. Then we talked about, like, sports. We talked about what was going on in life. Talked about what I've got going, what he's got going. As, you know, things went on, there was a lot of there was laughs, there were tears, but there's a lot of listening. You see, because that's what I realized that he needed. He needed to be heard. He needed to be seen and heard by somebody who cared. He reached out to me out of the fucking blue. Coming home from work in the middle of the night, there's a 2-hour difference from where we were at. It was late. I didn't even anticipate it coming, and here it came in, this video chat call, and I was like, oh shit, what's up? And everything started normal, and then within a minute or two, it was like, man, I'm not doing so well. And I would have no idea. I would have never known if he hadn't reached out to me. You know what that tells me? We are all going through that. Because I felt that way just a few days ago. Like I had no idea what I was doing. I got friends and family everywhere. You got friends and family everywhere. Struggling right now to find baseline happiness within their lives, because whatever pressure they're under is becoming too great and they don't feel like there's anybody there to listen. And I'm so thankful he called me. I'm so glad he reached out. You know, because the alternative for a lot of people that don't reach out and don't push it, they just push it down, they just bury it and bury it and bury it until it's too late. And that's how you lose people. To overdose, to suicide, to things that could have been prevented if somebody would have just listened. That's why we're fucking doing this show. That's why we're doing this show. Because if this show, if hearing the sound of my voice, if me getting on this microphone and telling somebody I have no idea who's listening that they are enough and they matter, and that's enough for them to make it through one more day without thinking about doing something that they can't reverse, boom, that's it. That shit is all that matters. All that matters. There's enough. I've had enough. There's so many articles. I see articles on Facebook every other day. I see news articles every other day, tributes on social media every other day of people who have taken their lives because of depression and anxiety. Because of this pandemic that's come through, the numbers are up 75% for depression and anxiety. Insanity. The number of people on antidepressants is higher than it's ever been. That is an endemic inside of a pandemic. Or a pandemic inside of a pandemic. Maybe I got the words wrong. Doesn't matter. People suffering in silence while they're just trying to figure out what it is that makes them happy. We can't lose any more, y'all. We need every single one of you to build a better future. Your wife needs you. Your husband needs you. Your mother and father need you. Your kids need you. Your grandma and grandpa. Your nieces and nephews. Your friends. Your brothers and sisters. People you don't even know that you haven't even met yet need you. I need you. Okay? We all need you. And that's why I wanted to start this show. Okay? Because I want to help people. There's not enough resources out there right now. And believe me, I've gone digging. There's not enough. And when I find them, we'll share them. Things like resources for therapy, resources for depression and anxiety. Because I'm not somebody who believes big time in antidepressants. I know they work for some. I was on them for years. And they took something from me while I was on them. My libido, a lot of my energy, a lot of my drive. Just because I wasn't depressed doesn't mean I was suddenly super successful in doing all of these things. In fact, they gave me a different kind of depression where I was almost numb and wasn't able to feel the shit I really needed to feel. Because the whole goal was to keep me from being sad. Well, you know what? Sometimes you need to be sad so you remember what that feels like. So you can feel through it and work your way through it back to happiness. Because when you're not feeling things, when you're pushing things down and you're ignoring them, that just compounds. That's like a bill. You ever had a bill where it's like, oh, okay, simple example. A traffic ticket. You get a parking ticket on the street. Here in LA, in California, those bitches are $73 a pop. Cool. You have what, 21 days to pay that ticket. If you don't pay that ticket in 21 days, it doubles to $146. Now, let me ask you something. It was frustrating. It was so frustrating in the moment. You're like, fuck. And probably hardly any of us ever pay our tickets right away. Some of us do. You do out there? If you pay those tickets right away, good on you. I am a procrastinator, and I would rather spend my money on a cup of Starbucks coffee as opposed to getting my traffic ticket paid right away. That's something I'm working on. But when you don't let it compound, and then all of a sudden you got to pay $146, and you're like, fuck, I should have just taken care of it in the moment. Well, if you'd have just felt the things you needed to feel in the moment and told somebody in your life what you were feeling, and just, maybe you don't want a solution. A lot of times, for me too, I just want to be heard. I just want to say what's on my mind, what's on my heart, what's on my soul, and get it off my chest, because it's crushing me. The weight of it is absolutely crushing me. Imagine everybody you know walking around feeling the exact same way. And instead of waiting 21 days for it to compound and turn into depression and anxiety, and then maybe you get diagnosed and get put on medication, which isn't helping the problem, it's just mitigating the problem. Antidepressants are not to quote-unquote heal you and make you better. They're to mitigate your sadness and your depression so that you feel good for enough amount of time. You don't want to have to be dependent on pills to feel good, to feel better about your life. You're better than that. You deserve better than that. Happiness is your birthright. It is a choice. My grandmother, my late grandmother who raised me, God rest her soul, one of the last things she told me, one of the last gems of wisdom I got out of her, she had dementia. And one of the last gems of wisdom I was able to squeeze out in my last time with her before she passed, she looked at me and she said, happiness is a choice. Why would you choose to be anything else? And I think about it every single day of my life. When I'm angry, I stop and I think about, what am I really mad about right now? Oh, okay, that's what it is. Well, that's silly, or that's relevant, or whatever I need to do to move through it, process it, and then I'm back to happiness. Why am I sad? Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes it's mental illness. It's okay. It's okay to say, hey, you know what? Today I'm sad. And for right now, I'm going to be sad. Tomorrow's going to be a better day. But right now, I'm going to feel the things that I need to feel to move through them. It's okay to feel. If nobody has ever told you this in your life, it is okay to feel. It's okay to cry. It's okay to yell. It's okay to be sad, to be upset. As long as you're not hurting other people, it's okay to feel these things. Because sometimes they happen without you knowing. They just boom. You ever been sad and not known why? I had a moment like that this morning. Today I had a moment where I was like, I'm kind of sad and I don't really know why. But I talked to my girl about it, and she was like, well, let's talk a little bit about it. And as we were making breakfast and then getting ready to sit down and eat, we sat and talked about it a little bit, and I felt better. I felt heard. Same with her. See, that's something, and I'm going to keep harping on it, that we do not understand that our fundamental need as human beings is to be seen and heard. At least every now and then. To feel like people are listening to the things that you're saying. Everybody wants to feel like they matter. Everybody wants to feel included. That's why inclusivity is so important, and exclusivity is so toxic and such a problem. And it's everywhere. That's not this show. This show is inclusive. Doesn't matter what you're going through. You are enough and you matter. I don't give a shit what anybody else told you. I don't care what your doctor told you. I don't care what your bully told you. Your parents told you. You are enough and you matter. They do not get to take that away from you. No one gets to take that away from you. That is your birthright. Happiness, success, and good things is your birthright. No matter where you are, no matter what your station is in life, be kind. All the shit that you are acquiring, the money, the house, the car, nothing is coming with you. Nothing is coming with you. Remember that. Your legacy will be who you are, who you were, to the people that knew and loved you and cared about you. You can work on that every single day. If you don't like it where it's at right now, you can change it. You have that power. You are so powerful and so capable. And if you ever need a reminder, please come back and listen to this. You are strong and beautiful and intelligent and capable of anything that you want in this life. No questions asked. Truly. Truly. And the other thing that's so important that I wanted to talk about, another big reason why we're doing this show, is human connection. Okay? I want to tell you that human connection is tied to some of the most powerful ways of communicating in the world. Touch is an event. Listening to someone is an event. Okay? Like think about this, okay? You get out of the house, you walk out the house the first thing in the morning, and you get in your car and you drive and you go to turn the corner and get onto the busy street, and as you turn the corner and go in, somebody hits you. Some dude on his phone, not paying attention, almost hits you as you're making a legal merge. Honks his horn at you, shakes you up. You shaking because it's like you just woke up. You hadn't even taken more than your first sip of coffee. And you're filled with that kinetic energy, that kinetic charge that person sent to you, that angry horn slam, blah, blah, blah. And now you're like, what, my problem? Fuck you, buddy, this and that. Nah. Now you're going to go out in the world. If you don't take time, you don't have processes in place, things that you can do to shake that energy off, take a breath and say, oh, I don't know what that was about, but that's not my problem. But if you don't, you're going to go out in the energy and push that kinetic energy, that bad energy, onto somebody else without knowing it. The opposite is also true. Somebody holds the door open for you, thank you. You're going to feel good. You're more apt to go out and do something selfless for somebody else because someone else did it for you. That is kinetic, my friends. You can push good energy onto people without even trying. Doing something nice for somebody, saying a compliment, maintaining eye contact, listening to people, those are all forms of human connection, and we are tribal by nature. Human beings are tribal by nature. That's why cities exist. Why do you think large mega cities, tribes, and small tribes within them? Things like the hobbies that you're involved in. You're a part of certain social clubs, religions, sporting teams that you love. All of these are community. They're different forms, different variations of community. Going to your acting class is the same thing as having community as going to a support group or a book club, right? All of those things. Going to the gym and seeing the same people you work out with most of the week. Sharing, even if it's 2 seconds, it's a head nod. I've been there. It's a fist bump and a head nod. You didn't take your headphones out. That's community. It makes me feel welcome, makes me feel good. We all seek those things, to feel welcome and to feel good, and we can give them to each other whenever we choose. You are so powerful. I am going to say it again. You are so powerful that you don't even know it. Your capacity for greatness and empathy and compassion and love and positivity is infinite, if that's what you choose. And you can share as much of that as you want, or as little, your choice, with the world around you. And I promise you, it makes a difference. The energy that you cultivate and you keep and give out is like a business card that people get. They remember it. They'll remember you by your energetic signature, by your imprint that you left on them. Right? It could be 5 minutes. Ooh, I got an episode coming up I can't wait to tell y'all about my man James. Uber driver that changed my life in 15 minutes. 15 minutes! He changed my life. Damn, that episode's going to be fire. He dropped so much knowledge and so much wealth. And you know what? It all was born out of a circumstance that I didn't want. I didn't want to have to take an Uber, but I had to let my girl borrow my car. And so she paid for the cab, and then the cab got there, and the 15 to 20 minute ride that I had with this guy changed the course of my day. I talked about him for 2 days straight to anybody who would listen. If he can have that kind of impact on me, you can have that kind of impact on somebody else or yourself. Anybody. It's all possible. You are enough and you matter. Okay? I'll say it again. You are enough and you matter. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be ashamed of it. It's your birthright. Okay? And anytime I feel something, anytime I read an article, anything that inspires me, that I feel like can help other people, I'm going to hop on here and we're going to make some content. We're going to make an episode. It's not going to be linear. It's not always going to be interviews. It's not always going to be on the same day. And that's just fine because it doesn't have to be. That was an excuse that I was giving myself for not making content for so long, is that it needed to be quote-unquote perfect and it needed to look like this or sound like this and I had to record on this day and blah, 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 blah. Well, I just want to help people. I don't care about the schedules or the routines or whatever else. Okay, so if there's topics that y'all want to talk about that you would love to hear me talk about, send it to me. Reach out to me. You can find me on social media. I'm all over the place at New Earth Olympus, all one word. New Earth Olympus, OLYMPUS. Find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook at Zeus Faye, Fae. You probably don't know another Zeus. And if you do, I want to meet the motherfucker. So send them my info. Okay? That's it. Short and sweet. To the point. Now, so anybody out there who's got a topic that you want talked about, something that you're struggling with, because listen, I heard this the other day, and this was so profound to me. If there are more than one person sitting in a room, there's 10 people sitting in a room, and you're thinking something, chances are good, the odds are very good, somebody else is also thinking the same thing or experiencing something similar. And if your words, thoughts, or actions can help somebody else with what they're struggling with, that's just free game. Right there. That's how you affect change. You are sitting on so much capital, so much mental capital. People like to think that money and assets are the only forms of capital. Well, I got news for you. Who you are, where you've been, what you know, who you know, what you've experienced, all of that is capital. It's all social capital. And that has the power to help heal or change somebody or something for the better. So start the conversation. Have the conversation. Because you are worth it, and so is everybody else in your life. And so are strangers that you've never met before. Big facts. Okay? Shout out to everybody listening to this right now. This is the first ever episode. And we got a lot more coming for you. Just a straight reminder where you at right now. You are enough and you matter. And nothing and nobody can take that away from you. If you can hear the sound of my voice or not, you are blessed, chosen, and highly favored. And you deserve happiness and success above all things. And if nobody's told you today or lately, I love you. You are the shit, and I love you. We need you. So please keep going. Please. Don't quit. Because you're just as important as me, just as important as she, just as important as he, they, them, their, anyone, anywhere. You are enough, and you matter. We'll be back on another episode of MC. Love y'all. We out.